We've just soaked this bunch of dill. We've allowed the dill to be agitated in the soapy solution. We removed the dill. We just rinsed it under a heavy stream of water, and while rinsing it under the water, we spread out each of the sprigs so the water could get into the small little needles of the dill. And now we have to figure out a way to know, did we actually remove the insects that might have been hiding in midst of this bunch? How do you do it? So here we go. We take a second dish, or if you wish, does rhyme, to empty out the contents of the soapy dish and get something where you'll be able to just put in clear water. And we place our dill into the clear water. We're doing this with the hope that when we finish agitating the dill in the water, when we give it a really good bath, now that we finish the 2 minutes of agitation, we remove the product. It could be a bunch, it could be 2 bunches, it could be 3 bunches. It could be dill alone, it could be parsley alone. It could be the rosemary, it could be the oregano. The same process applies by these items just mentioned, as well as some other herbs, which we will name in a few minutes. And then we put it to the side, and now comes the bedika, the inspection. How do you inspect now? How do you ensure that your washing process has removed your insects that might have been present in this bunch of dill, parsley, rosemary? Here we come to a very important item called a light box. A light box is not an absolute necessity, but it sure makes life easy. Normally, if you're in a well-lit area in a kitchen, you could just simply take your clear dish that you've just filled up with cold water, you've soaked your herbs, and to look at it while it being placed under a well-lit area, to just notice if there are any of those aphids that we pointed out before, or any of the thrips that we pointed out before. And then we just look in the water to see if we notice anything in the water that resembles an insect. Now let me tell you, if you have an infested bunch of dill or parsley or rosemary and you didn't wash it well, you're going to find those insects swimming in this dish. But just as an important point, you can find small little needles that might have shed from the stem. That's not what we're looking for. That's part of the dill. We're actually looking for those insects floating in the dish. And this is where we get to the convenience of a light box. This light box that we see in front of us is a commercial light box. It's something which would be typically used in a food service establishment such as a restaurant, a caterer. And certainly there's no reason to have such a large light box in your home. If you use a tremendous amount of produce, if it's something which is easier for you to use because of the size, then certainly by all means. However, today they have produced a small little light box, home friendly, that literally is almost a quarter of the size, perhaps half the size, battery operated, able to be easily stored, and certainly a tremendous help for checking leafy vegetables. And if you're an herb person that loves to spice your favorite dishes with fresh herbs, you simply put on your light box. And now all of a sudden what seemed to be dark before is completely illuminated, because the concept of the light box is that the illumination coming from under the receptacle allows you to see everything. The light shines through. So simply, to the average sight, you could be nearsighted, you could be farsighted, you have your corrective lenses, you just look inside and you look for those insects, which will be extremely visible. And of course, not to be confused with the sheddings, as we have one right over here. That's a shedding. As we said before, as you've seen earlier in the DVD, what the aphid looks like, what the thrips look like. And right now I'm looking into this dish and seeing absolutely nothing except for those few sheddings of needles coming off from that dill stem. After you've done this, voila, you can now use